and welcome to this week's NoMorePly Beyond the Board. Apologies for last week's version, but I had to jump on that bandwagon and do that slightly younger version of myself and put it out there. Having said that, I think it probably was an improvement on what I look like these days, so yeah, maybe I should continue in that vein and have the babyface version of Vince out on NoMorePly Beyond the Board. Anyway, cracking on into this week's video, we're going to touch on the need for a BBA or BDA agreement. Now you might say, what's the real necessity of a BBA or BDA agreement? And that's often something we get asked. Have you got an agreement? And then when we get that question, it's often followed up by, and what does that really mean? So I thought I'd just run down some of the key areas where a BBA or BDA agreement can really help. Now in our case, we reached out to BDA or Kiwa a couple of years ago to really help understand what we needed to do to have our boards approved and a full agreement achieved for them to be used as an external sheathing and render carrier board. So let's dig into some of the steps that we had to go through and why that's important for construction in this day and age. First and foremost, it's third-party accreditation and validation. They take all your test results and they really put it through a very fine sieve to make sure that every single area that you've had your boards tested on is up to standard or more than standard, so ultimately giving you confidence in the performance of the product. The next area that a BDA Kiwa agreement really does help with is to ensure that the products have structural elements and are structurally sound when used particularly on timber frame or steel frame buildings. Now, as part of that agreement, we work with other testing houses such as Lucidian, which are all UCAS accredited, to make sure that every test we do as far as the structural soundness of the product is concerned, whether that be modulus of rupture or whether that be pull out or pull through strength, do meet the necessary standards in the UK and also overachieve on some of those pull out and pull through tests. Fibre cement board is a very, very good product to fix into and offers superior strength over against other products out there on the market. The next point with BDA is really around the proof that it can be used externally as a render carrier or sheathing board. Now, as mentioned in one of the previous videos, we do work with many of the UK's leading manufacturers of render to have our boards tested and approved with both their thin coat silicon render systems and, of course, their EWI systems. But as part of the BDA Kiwa agreement, they do a lot of other tests to make sure that that board is fully up to scratch to be used not only on low-rise buildings but also high-rise buildings for a render application. This includes things like freeze-thaw testing and also moisture testing to make sure the board is not going to delaminate or just weaken when damp. As part of that, they also really dig deep into the moisture resistance and then the impact resistance of the product. So moisture often will decrease the impact resistance of a product. So when they do the impact test, they actually make sure they do them both before fully submerged in water and then after they've been fully submerged in water to make sure that due to that moisture content, the boards are not going to weaken in their structural integrity. We're pleased to say ours didn't, and they hold a very high structural integrity even when absolutely sodden with water. Obviously a major part of this is to make sure the boards comply with building regs. That's both part C and part A to make sure that these boards are absolutely up to scratch when working in a small extension or a huge residential or commercial property. As part of the BDA agreement, they really do dig deep into your testing and understand whether it's compliant for building regulations. Again, the NoMorePly 12mm construction board is perfect whether you're doing just a small extension or a patch-up job for render, or whether you're doing a huge construction project, either a new school or a big commercial or residential build. All of that really gives you the ability to specify the 12mm NoMorePly construction board with confidence. You can be sure that when you're putting those products into your specification or using them on your construction site, that they are more than fit for purpose. And last but certainly not least, by going through a BDA agreement with Kiwa, you can be sure that your boards and your build are compliant with all the major house building warranties out there, such as NHBC, LABC, and of course Premier. So when you're looking at your next construction build, be sure to reach out to us and discuss how our 12mm NoMorePly construction board can be used in many applications internally and externally, but particularly around the external render and sheathing application And we can even share with you a copy of our BDA agreements and subsequent tests we've done to give you the confidence to use the boards with confidence on every project. We do look forward to speaking to you soon. Please drop me a DM, drop an email to sales@sts-uk.com, or indeed give us a call. My mobile number is 07848 454 629, and we'll be delighted to talk to you about your project, or if you'd like to take the product into stock. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.